I am excited to see so many people here this morning and very excited to talk to you about Evergreen Indiana's Aspen Discovery Service. We have been working very hard on this, and I'm going to actually say some thank yous in just a second to specific individuals who have been working on getting this prepared to give to you. And so we're going to talk about several different things, but first I do want to thank our training cohort. The training cohort is a group of volunteers from Evergreen Indiana member libraries who said, yes, I want first glance at what's going on under the hood in Evergreen Indiana Aspen, and I'm going to act as a resource person for my colleagues within the consortium. And they have been participating in training sessions with Equinox, who is our support provider for Aspen Discovery. And so here they are. We have Amanda Knoll from Lowell Public Library, Anita Brown from Kendallville Public Library, Ashley Fletcher from West Lafayette Public Library, Beth Gaff from Peabody Public Library, Sarah Perry from Westfield, Washington Public Library, Sarah Morey from Morrison Reeves Library, and they have not actually launched as a live member of Evergreen Indiana yet. They're going to do that at the end of April. So we're launching them with Aspen Discovery. Very excited to have Sarah on this team as well. Vicki Fleischauer from South Whitley Community Library. And then, of course, we have Britta here from the State Library, Jeremy Murray, who is our Evergreen Indiana System Administrator. And then we have a team of 4 from Equinox Open Library Initiative. We have Lena Hernandez, Jennifer Weston, Rogan Hamby, and then Jason Boyer, who many of you know and love, are on our implementation and support team from Equinox. Then I also want to thank all of you for taking the time out this morning to be here for this first kind of glance and at Evergreen Indiana Aspen Discovery, and then a kickoff that's going to lead us into the launch window. We're going to talk about the launch at the end as well. As a point of business, please feel free to put any questions that you have into chat. I'm kind of watching out of the corner of my eye. I see also our issues with Zoom. Britta is also keeping an eye on there, and we will try to answer those, but we'll talk more about lots of opportunities to answer questions today, but then also in the coming weeks and months. So let's start off with what is Aspen Discovery. It is a fully featured open source discovery system. And when we talk about a discovery system, we're often talking about the library catalog. Like, that's the discovery system that we have right now in Evergreen, Indiana. You go to the Evergreen Indiana catalog, whether it be one that's scoped to your org unit, I'm going to use some jargon in there, or not. Aspen Discovery is in that vein, a fully featured open source, which is important to me, but maybe not to everybody, discovery system. It's going to provide comprehensive access to your library's resources, which we'll talk a little bit more about that. It does give library users a single search box and smart search results. We often have talked about over the years this idea of a Google search. It is not that, so please do not mistake it for a Google search, but it gets closer to what library users experience in other types of search environments where they have that single search box and then relevant, useful search results. And it allows library users to easily access their preferred versions of a title using what we call grouped records. It groups all of the formats together. This is a very brief explanation of what Aspen Discovery is. Within each of these little points, there's a whole lot that we will discover, not necessarily today, although we will talk about it, and you will discover more and more as this becomes part of, hopefully, your library service model. So why did we pick that for Evergreen, Indiana? This process has taken well over a year. I know that we began investigating 2021 and went through a lot of committee work and demonstrations and getting proposals from different discovery services and quotes, and came down to selecting Aspen Discovery, supported by Equinox Open Library Initiative. There are a lot of reasons. Again, this is not comprehensive. So Aspen does integrate with the Evergreen ILS, which of course we use, and with many e-content providers for an efficient one-stop shop. We'll look at that a little bit further down in these slides and as we get through this presentation. The traditional Evergreen Indiana catalog provides only a semblance of local library identity. And I mentioned that jargon, the org units, where you can scope your library search to an org unit. And many of you have done that over the years, so that the default library that it's searching when a patron goes, links through your website to the catalog, is first your collection, and then it looks at the consortial holdings. What it doesn't do is look different from anybody else's search. It also hasn't changed a whole lot over the years. Evergreen Indiana launched in 2008. It has changed a little bit. We just, with the last upgrade, did launch what is called the B pack, and it does have some more modern look to it and a little bit more modern behavior, but not a whole lot. This is going to provide something new, something different, and something that is recognizable in this modern, digitally connected world. We also saved a bunch of money by we did get a great deal from Equinox Open Library Initiative as one of their first large-scale implementations. And because we have this shared database of patron records and bibliographic records and holdings, that made doing this as a consortium even that more efficient, which also saved cost and labor, because now we could leverage all of that shared thing so that everybody could share. It is also going to change the work tasks for the administrative staff here in terms of server administration, database maintenance, and other things like that. One of the easiest examples of that is that we are not going to have to load Overdrive MARC records into the Evergreen Indiana bibliographic database anymore. It's going to be connected via Aspen, so that we're not going to have as many records in the Evergreen catalog, but we are going to have them in the Aspen catalog, and there's going to be more flexibility even in how those are used, while we have a higher quality Evergreen Indiana bibliographic database. We also don't have to have the same load on our servers that we have right now as we're ingesting those records. And that's just one example. There are several others like that.
There is a question if existing Overdrive records are going to be removed.
Yes,
the catalog?
they will. They may not be deleted immediately because we don't want to do anything. You don't want to do anything super fast because that is a good way to make mistakes and harm other things. And there are, I'm not going to put any value statement on this. There are some overdrive records right now that have physical holdings on that, and we need to be mindful of those as well because we don't want to delete physical holdings if we just purge overdrive records. So that's one of the things that we'll need to look at. But there will be a point once everything is connected as it should be, has been verified as working, when we're no longer updating those records. And then there will be a point after that where we are removing them. What does Aspen Discovery mean for your library? And I do feel like I'm rushing because I can't wait to show this to you. I see the question from Jennifer. It will not, well, I take that back. It will change the Evergreen app in that overdrive records will not show up now in the Evergreen app. We are not deploying at this point the LIDA app, which is the Aspen Discovery app called LIDA. We're not doing that yet. And I don't know when it will happen. If it does happen, that will be a discussion for the members of the consortium that would include those. So that is the change. Were you thinking of any other changes beside that, Jennifer? Okay. Okay. So what does Aspen Discovery mean for your library? It means that you're going to have the opportunity to have a locally branded and customized experience for your library users. It's also has the ability to pull together all of your library resources, not just material resources, but also perhaps calendars, all sorts of things into one searchable interface. And there are extensive instructions and support for this. Let me see. Oh, I'm going to read this because I love oddly specific things. One of the most frustrating part of searches for my staff is very specific searching. Depending on how the initial cataloger entered a record, if the initial typed 27 or 27 or 20-7, finding the exact record can be difficult. Would this also help make this universal? So the search is still going to be dependent on solid cataloging, and that would be something where in that record there should be some additional, I think there are 246 fields, correct me, alternate titles in there. But if there are, then yes, then it groups them together, and then all of a sudden there is this one record that displays, and then within it you can start seeing different editions and things in different formats and things. This is the part that I wanted to get to. So let's take a look real quick. Everybody has right now, every library already has an Aspen catalog. They are not done yet at all. They are not even done to the kind of generic customization that we've done, but a few of them are-ish. The first one is just the consortium catalog. So you can take a look here and, oh, I know what I meant to do. And maybe Britta, you can go in and grab the link for the slides. Or actually, I think I can grab them right here. I wanted to make sure that you guys could link through those, and then I didn't share it at all. So now I'm going to do that. Put this into chat. So this is the Evergreen Indiana Library Consortium General Catalog. And one of the things about this, of course, the consortium does not have overdrive access, so you're not going to have new titles in, if I pull this down here, you'll see that it doesn't say online resources yet, but I'm going to show you another library's site in a second that does. You can see this has, these are called browse categories. They're analogous to the carousels that are in the traditional catalog, but obviously way more fully fleshed out. We have some that are going to be just prepared for all of your libraries based on how it's querying the catalog. You can see we have categories and then we have subcategories. So I can click on that and it's going to show. I want to go ahead and go into a catalog record. So if I just click on that, it's going to show this brief quick view. I could from here, if I want to just immediately place a hold, it'd place a title, or in this case, it'd place a title hold. In some cases, it's going to place possibly what we call a meta hold. But I want to go ahead and, and I guess I will also click on these things. You can get a little bit more information. I could click on this to get more information. I could add this to a list here. But I'm going to click here on more information to go into this record. In this case, there is just one format, and I will go back and show you a different one in a second. But this is what the individual record looks like. If I want to look at a few more things here, I can open these. We are including the Goodreads reviews right now. We've made some choices on what to include based on what we know about online behavior. And so we're hoping we made the right choices. But of course, all of those choices, first of all, can be changed locally. And from a consortial standpoint, there can be a conversation about how those are displayed. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the main screen here. And I'm going to hopefully pick something that is, looks like a book I'd read. So in this, you can see that we have the book as a format. We also have the audio book that is on order, which you can place holds on that. Keeping in mind that you're still going to, age protection is still going to be respected and all of those things. I'm going to go ahead and click on more info in this case. And I do want to click on this, where is it? And this is going to show all of the places that have a holding, whether it is available or not, but then it shows where the available ones are. So in case somebody is road tripping, they can just go and pick it off the shelf and check it out. Okay. I'm checking over here in chat and making sure that I don't see any questions. Okay. So now I'm going to pop over here and we're going to take a look at Lowell. And this is the most basic customization. You can see by basic customization, I put a logo up there for them. And you can also see here, I'm going to pop back, that this is different. You can see the same browse categories, but they are presenting is different because this is going to be based on the newest things at Lowell. The other thing, and when we talk about administrative efficiencies, this is just one that I very personally love, is that the New York Times bestseller lists now are automatically populated. I do have a little bit, actually I think everything is in there. Yep, it is 15. It wasn't showing all 15 before, but now it is. Because in the traditional catalog, this is a carousel that has to be manually updated. I never have to do that again because it is done here. I am going to disable them on the traditional catalog as soon as we launch on our soft launch. so that you don't have bad information on a carousel, because it will not be up to date. But then I can click over here to the nonfiction bestsellers, and we can see that in here as well. So I'm going to do one more here. I've been having a fair amount of fun going through and seeing, because all of the libraries are different in terms of what's their sizes, what staff they have that can do these things or not, and trying to make something that looks good and also represents, as far as I know, the community. Of course, I don't know all of your communities, even as much as I know your libraries. But I'm going to click over here to Akron and show you an option. So this is a little bit different. Akron does not have the same logo type as Lowell, but they do have a presence. And I'm going to very quickly bring up Akron's website. You can see all of my search history on here. And this is how I search for your library, even though I know that there's probably a more efficient way. I just Google it. It's what your patrons do too. They just Google it. So I just took a clue from what is here, actually took that background image exactly as it is. And I'm going to close these so I stop clicking on the wrong thing. And then used just our Evergreen Indiana icon and displayed the library name. Now, there can be more work done on this in terms of like the font and things. I just didn't know how to do it fast, and so I put this up here temporarily. Another example that I have in here is I'm going to go ahead and go to Lagodi. And you can see here they do have this sweet little logo, and just added that in there. And now I want to show you in here. Lagodi is a member of the Indiana Digital Library, and so they have online collections. Now this would be if there were any online collections that were coming in, whether they were Indiana Digital Library or Hoopla or some other type of what we call side-loaded catalog going in there, then this online collection appears. Now, it is important to note that when you do a search in here, it is going to show the library catalog, which is Evergreen, Indiana. Well, that's not true. It's Aspen. Aspen, Indiana. Sure, Aspen, Evergreen, Indiana. Whereas if you're doing the online collection, that's just going to be digital references, which could be Overdrive and some other things. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And you can see here that we have, of course, the book, but then we also have the ebook and the Kindle version. And it's going to allow here, and I am not logged in, so I'm not going to click on this, but you can place a hold and you can check out from Aspen rather than going to the Indiana Digital Library website or through the app as well. So you can just do that directly here in the library catalog. Okay, the next thing I want to do is point out a couple more things here. This morning, I noticed something that I'm going to add here for you. Would we be able to customize to include a tab that keeps the digital content separate? Yes. Well, yes and no. I'm going to go with no right now, other in the respect that if they searched for this, let's say they clicked on this, they would still see the materials, but of course they don't have to do anything about it. They can just look at the traditional formats. But you can create a tab that does point them to different resources. So that actually is a great segue into this. I'm going to go back to my point. I forgot to just have a link to your websites. So that's going to be something that just links to your website, and so that you can go back and forth pretty easily. This home is for the catalog. So if they click on that, they're going to back to the home page of the catalog. There needs to be for your website. And then right here, we are just putting some basic menu items in here, but these can, to a large extent, be completely changed. Although these are important ones in some respects, and not so much in other respects. And you can see here that we also have the link to Inspire. And then I'm going to go to this additional databases. And this is what we call an e-resources page that I just built out very, very primitively to include those e-resources that are provided from the consortium. Your library can add to this. Now this, you'll see, this links to catalog.evergreenindiana.org. What we would want to do if Lagodi wants to add additional e-resources is build their own e-resources and essentially copy what is on this one and then add to it. It's very easy to do, and I'm going to log in real quick and show you that. You are not expected to remember it at all. Oh, and just because I know Anita's in here, I'm going to click on this. And this is Kendallville's very preliminarily customized website. There is, actually, I do want to show you one more, and because it's something that I learned through this process. So I'm going to go to Pearston. And it has to do with this background image here. And also, I kind of started learning it also from Akron, but really here, there are, and now this is where I'm going to log in and show you. So, and you can log in with your staff accounts right now. It will check if you have your website, it is going to check and let you go in here. But now once I've logged in, because I do have administrative permissions, now I'm going to go to this hamburger menu. It's going to take me to Aspen administration. And I'm going to scroll down through all of these settings. And I have to imagine that looking at this, some of you are saying, oh my gosh, I'm never going to learn all that. Me either. And you don't have to. And some of it doesn't apply for us anyway. But there is, what this represents is opportunity, so that if there is something that you do want to investigate in here, you can. But the two places that I have spent the most time so far are library systems, and I'm just going to show that to you. You're, for the most part, not going to have to worry about this at all. But I am going to pop in here to Akron and show you right here this basic display. This is how I was hoping it would just show up in my email. That's how this Akron Carnegie Public Library shows up there, is by that setting right here. So that if I were to deselect that, save it, that would disappear. So now I'm going to go back to, not there. I'm not going to do any more there. I'm going to go down here to theme and layout. And I'm going to go to Pearson. You can see there are way fewer themes here right now, and there are 130 that are still libraries that are still attached to this EGIN. That's because I haven't made all of those themes for your libraries yet. So if you happen to figure out what your URL is, you may still see the Evergreen Indiana logo up there because I haven't made the theme. So there's that. But I'm going to go ahead and go to Pearson. And you can see a little bit here, but then here is where that logo is showing up. Now, this is one of the things that I have learned. These aspect ratios are suggestions. They are not requirements. I know it says max, I know it says max, and yet it isn't. You are going to need to play around. I mean, I want to say, like, don't go crazy, but I'm not in charge of you, whether you go crazy or not in terms of this. So keep that in mind. And then if I go down here, and this is where that background image is shown in here. This is a great opportunity. Obviously, I did not spend a whole lot of time doing like great graphic design, but there are ways to make this. You think about, like, if your library has a Facebook presence, to create that header image. You're looking at this in a similar way that you would use this for.
There's a question.
Okay, looks to me like the answer to this is no, but would it be possible to have kids department catalogs show new kids books? Emily, the answer to that is yes. I just don't know how to do it right now. But the answer is yes. And there may be some documentation out there in the world, which we'll look at what exists there that might help you figure it out before we figure it out. So the short answer is yes. The longer answer is yes, but I don't know how. And then the longer answer is yes, I don't know how, but it's definitely worth investigating. Okay. So this is where that appearance is changed. And now I'm kind of thinking, how could you do that, Greenwood? I know that it is possible. It might require some additional URL work, potentially, but maybe not. So great question. And that does, again, this is one of those things where there really are so many possibilities within this. Like, this is, I think that it is very cool as it is, but I know that it is, like, this is the most basic part of it at this point. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go on to what's next. I put this where it says one step at a time, and then kind of laughed because I am somebody who tends to over-engineer everything. But there are so many steps to this type of deployment, and it's not necessarily hard, but it's just 50 steps gets to be kind of complex. Which one do you take next? So the next step for me and our admin team is to finish creating those local templates and to update the initial menu system. I'm going to actually show you one that has not been done yet. Let's do Alex. So I didn't know what I didn't know at the beginning. And so that you see that there is more going on here. There's also a link over here, and maybe it's very subtle and it doesn't matter to everybody as much as me, but I want it to be a lot cleaner. And so now there are all of those extraneous links are now over here, and here we'll have another one to get to your library stuff as well. And, oh, that is what I wanted to show you. So let's go back in here to primary configuration, library systems, and I'm just going to pick one that I know that I've updated. Oh, wait, I know that I've updated Akron. So I'm going to scroll down here. And this is where those links actually show up. It's kind of elegant the way that this works, in that you first establish a category, and then anything that has that category, you just type it in, and then the links associated with it, they show up. You have a decision whether they show up in the menu. If I had these unticked, they would show up in that login, this hamburger menu. When it is ticked, they show up here in the top navigational bar. I should not say top nav, but I did it anyway. So you can see that I need to clean that up, as well as make those templates that at least have a logo there. They're not going to necessarily have a grand color scheme that matches yet. Trying to decide if we have the capacity to do that level or to leave that, and make it a little bit more generic in some cases or not. Then the training cohort, those individuals I named, they're going to get first crack to get their permissions to go into all of these administrative settings and see what they might do for their libraries. And they're going to continue training with us and with Equinox, and then be available as community resource people. I'm going to be sending out a survey as well, and this is going to happen by the end of this week. And it's going to go to library directors, who they can forward it to whoever they want, but it's going to go initially to directors. And it is going to be a survey to gather information about who on staff that has an Evergreen staff account is going to be set up as a local Aspen administrator. This is a pretty powerful role, keeping in mind that they're going to have the ability to represent your library on the internet and to work with your teams to get things customized if that's what your library chooses to do. So that survey is going to go out by the end of this week, and then there's going to be a mechanism, this login verification form, so that what those individuals will need to do is they're going to need to log in to Aspen, and we'll provide instruction on how to do that. And then we'll start granting those permissions for libraries to customize if they choose to. And I do want to talk about that in just one second, but let's get through this. There's going to be that local Aspen administration training, as well as user experience training. Britta has done a great job with the OPAC from a patron standpoint. And there's going to be an analogous training for the Aspen catalog, what the user experience is there. Katie has a question. Does this include those who will be making carousels? In order to make those browse categories, yes, somebody is going to need permissions. We will be able to have some granular permissions. So that survey will ask, who do you want to have what level of permission? We'll try to make that as understandable as possible, knowing that we're at the beginning of this. Well, kind of past the beginning, but still in the beginning. And that there's still a lot that I'm learning, a lot that Britta is learning. So yes, the short answer is yes, this does include those who will be making carousels or browse categories. The long answer is we don't really know exactly how that is all going to play out, but it will. So you thought that this was just one slide of one step at a time, but no, there's more. There are going to be office hours with Equinox Aspen support, and that's going to be for all of those individuals who are getting permission to work on the back end of Aspen. And then we're going to have our launch. Now, I put an exclamation point there for some reason, basically because I thought it would be ironic. The launch date is set for March the 19th, 2024. That may sound impending and very scary in terms of how are we possibly going to get this all done by March the 19th, 2024. You don't have to at all. That's when Equinox is going to be done with their part of this, and when we can launch if we want to. With that said, it is completely up to you and your local library. First of all, what you want to do to customize your library's website. Where there'll be just a couple things, like have some Evergreen Indiana branding, have a link to Inspire. It's a state standard thing. So those types of things. Have access to the consortially provided databases. Beyond that, you're gonna have lots and lots of options. That might take a while. And so it is up to you when you determine when you're going to promote to your library users the use of Aspen. Is this going to change how we catalog in Evergreen? It's just a new view. It's not going to change the cataloging at all. Now, and this is for the catalogers in the room, I'm going to say this, and I know that you're going to nod your head. Whenever there is a new way to approach the bibliographic database, every single time, it does not matter what it is, it will always show that there was some type of thing in some records that needs to be fixed. Aspen is going to be no exception to that. So please do not panic. This is expected behavior. There is going to be something, and I saw it at one point where there was a book, a Babysitter's Club book that was showing up in the new adult browse category. There's something in that MARC record that is causing it to show up there. So, just something to fix in the record, but it is not going to change Evergreen cataloging policies or procedures. This will not. Then we are going to have, oh, I did put the date, thank goodness. We're going to have an open house with Equinox on Monday, March the 25th. I did not put the time here for some reason, and I don't remember what the time is. I think that it is 11 o'clock, but I could be wrong in that, but that announcement is going to go out, and that's going to be for any of you, anybody in Evergreen Indiana libraries, to come in with your questions, feedback, concerns, and talk with Equinox staff about that. We'll be there also listening in. We may have questions too, who knows. And then the last thing is going to be that you are going to then be able to promote this to your library patrons. Just some things in here. You decide how much you customize or don't customize your Aspen catalog. We're going to hand it off to you in such a manner that it works and it looks pretty good. If you don't want to, can't, don't have the time, don't have the staff, don't have the know-how, don't want to learn, that's okay. It's still going to work. It's still going to work for your patrons. It's still going to work for your library. But if you want to go hard into making this, maybe even your library's website, you can. Remember, if you have a library website, you're going to change your catalog links if you're promoting this. And then whatever else you think of, we'll be able to talk through those things. Any questions about that? The thing that I do want to remind you of is you have a lot of agency in this, and we are available. If you wake up in the middle of the night panicking about the Evergreen Indiana Aspen launching in just a litany of questions, put them in an email and send them. You don't need to stand on ceremony at all. How do we communicate which members we wish to be local admins? I'm going to send out a survey to directors, and then they're going to be able to decide, like if somebody else does that, Scott, if you were to do that on your staff to pick those people, then Mara would hand that survey off to you to fill that out. But I don't know how you're going to communicate that in-house. It's really up to your library, but that form is going to go out this week, and I'm going to be monitoring it all the time and go with those next steps. And if somebody wants to send me an email and say, hey, just send this to my whoever, that's fine, I'll do that too. Will each library be responsible for adding their new title releases? That's an automatic thing. Or does Aspen pick up the dates and display the graphics? That's correct. Yeah, Aspen picks up the dates and displays the graphics.
And a note on the graphics. We know in the past we've had issues with cover art. I'm putting a link in the chat with an example of the Aspen template that automatically appears when there is no cover art included with the bibliographic record. So I just wanted to share that because I know that will be a question from catalogers as well as CERC staff.
Yeah, it does. It automatically generates a random cover art that includes a title and I think the author, which is not something that Evergreen does. So we were very happy to see that because the cover art uploader is great. But this is going to be a time saver for that experience. Let me pop back here. I do see another question. Is a new title based on new bib records or new active items? It's based on new items. So, but it does include ACK records. So it includes on order records as well. But wait, there's more. I would be remiss if I did not give you a zillion things to read if you want to, but you don't have to. So these are all links. The first one is to a growing body of training materials provided by Equinox. I do want to let you know that not all of this stuff applies to Evergreen, Indiana right now, maybe never, maybe kind of. So feel free to go through any of it. If you have a question, again, feel free to ask it. So this is the catalog, and then administration. This is being built out. We're not using the materials request yet. That will be something to talk about down the road if there's a way that we can have that implemented for a library that uses it, but not for a library that doesn't. But it is something to be used with patron-driven acquisitions. And so there is that. And then there is absolutely everything that every setting, everything is in here. This is hosted by Bywater, another support provider. The original developer for Aspen, Mark Noble, works for Bywater Solutions, so they really have a phenomenal team there, phenomenal team at Equinox as well. But the documentation that is here is amazing, and they are actually using Aspen as their knowledge discovery tool. So feel free to wander through there. And I used this probably 15 times yesterday as I was doing things from an Aspen administration standpoint, and then going back and just following step by step, and go to theme and layout, and then something specific, and it's just step by step how to do it. Is pretty amazing. Then we have an email list, and I'm going to put this into chat. Why I decided to do it that way, I have no idea. Let's do it this way. If you are not a member of this yet, there's not a whole lot of activity going on it right now, but please join. I am sure that as libraries begin customizing and have questions, that this is going to be highly utilized. And so please subscribe to that. I have subscribed, again, every director in the consortium, because I think it's very important to get information out. So there's that part. Finally, there are 2 Aspen groups, Evergreen Aspen groups. One of them is something that has grown up organically, and it's just a Zoom meeting that happens bi-monthly. The next one is in March. And then the other one is something that Bywater started a few years ago, at least a year ago, also for libraries using Aspen and the Evergreen ILS. And it's also bi-monthly, but it's on the off month. If you would like an invitation to join either one of those, send me an email and I will invite you to those, give you a calendar invite for those and the link to join in. Great conversation with a lot of libraries outside of Evergreen, Indiana, at least around the US. I'm trying to think if there are international implementations that are represented there. Probably, but I don't remember right now. It's a great opportunity to meet your colleagues and talk about what's working, what's not working, and also to listen in on libraries that have or had this implemented for a while. There is a large body of those libraries, which is also exciting. Okay, that was a lot and not enough all at the same time. But I am done talking. You can email me again any questions that you'd like. You can also email Britta if you're more comfortable emailing Britta. We're still going to talk about it, but she might be your most comfortable point of contact, or me. And we will just keep on keeping on. Are there any more questions right now? Have a great afternoon. Please email if you have any questions. And we are really looking forward to launching Aspen, the new catalog experience. All right. Y'all have a great day.